Welcome to Olivia's Kitchen. I hope you enjoy Kate Moore with her cookery show today.
This is a recipe for my mozzarella risotto balls, and if you saw my pea and broad bean risotto recipe, what I said was I was going to make more than I needed, and this is something to do with the leftovers. So in other words, if you're going to make my risotto, I would always make more than you need for the family so that you can do this amazing recipe the next day. So basically in this bowl what I've got is probably about 300 or 400 grams of cold risotto. It could be reheated, but it's not particularly appetising, and all it is the risotto rice with peas and broad beans, which is being made up with wine and stock and a little bit of garlic and Parmesan cheese. So it's a vegetarian mixture. If you're allowed Parmesan cheese, as some people say Parmesan's not good for vegetarians. The other ingredient I have is mozzarella cheese. I've only got a small piece left. Again, it was left over from my mozzarella and tomato salad. A little bit of flour here, a tablespoon or two, 1 egg, and this is a real whopper, so you might want 1 or 2 eggs, but this is a big egg, and then some breadcrumbs, which I have done myself in the food processor, and I've left out for just an hour because they should really be a bit stale. Day-old bread is the best thing you can do. I wouldn't use those orange breadcrumbs that you can buy in the shop that are used for like breading fish. I would stick with real bread if you can, okay? Regarding quantities, I will put it on the website, but basically that's 3 slices of bread to 1 very large egg, to a tablespoon or 2 of flour, to about 100 grams of mozzarella, and as I said, the cooked risotto mixture, it's about 350 grams. So this is what we're going to do. I've washed my hands, but I'm going to take my rings off because it's a little bit messy. And I'm making balls of risotto with mozzarella in the middle, and they're going to be fried, okay? So, first thing is to wet your hands. The amount of risotto you need is about the size of a large golf ball, or a small tennis, somewhere between a golf ball and a tennis ball. Okay, you can make these any size you like, but I think if you're going to have 2 or 3 mozzarella balls per portion, this is a good guide. So with my slightly wet hands, I'm going to press down the risotto, and then you can put 1 or 2 pieces I'll put in of the mozzarella in the middle. Now I'm going to come close so you can see what I'm doing without dropping mozzarella or risotto on the floor. I put the mozzarella in the middle, and then I'm going to make a ball and encase the mozzarella with the risotto just by squeezing it and firming it round. And what you'll end up with is a ball that's, obviously the squeezing not only contains the mozzarella, but it packs the risotto around it, because if you fry it and you haven't squeezed it, it will just fall apart in the pan. For the next little bit, you're going to see me working with my hands, just because I want you to get an idea of what I'm doing. In the first plate, I've got flour. In the second, I'm going to break an egg. And it's one of my hen's eggs, so let's see how many yolks I've got in there. It's a beautiful double yolker, fantastic. And I'm just going to use a fork to break it up. Okay. And then the third plate, if you remember here, we've got our breadcrumbs. So once you've made all your mozzarella balls, what you're going to do is you pick one up, you roll it in the flour. Can you see me dusting it in the flour? Not much to see there. Coating of flour, a coating of egg. Now the flour first, because the egg will stick to the flour just that little bit better. Pick it up and allow all the extra bits to drip off. And then into the breadcrumbs, and use your clean hand to just put the breadcrumbs over the top. Bit of a roll, and then into your palm, and just a slight roll and squeeze. You want to have a good coating of breadcrumbs, but you also want them to stick off, because otherwise they're just going to go into the pan and float and burn, and it's very messy. Okay, so that's one. What I will do is I'll put this on a plate, and the others will join it, and it will go in the refrigerator for at least an hour to chill before I even attempt to fry them. But this little one is what you should expect to have. The risotto balls here, arancini di riso as they're called in Italy, have been in the fridge overnight. I was going to leave them for an hour or 2 and then fry them, but I decided against it, and they're perfectly fine. In fact, if I didn't want to cook them, I could stick them in the freezer and they'd be okay to cook at a later date. I wouldn't cook them and then freeze them because I think they might go a bit tough. So all I need to do is heat some vegetable oil in my pan, and I'm going to use the same pan that I actually made the risotto in because it's a really good size. And I'll probably for this recipe use quite a bit of oil and shallow fry them. only because the more oil you use, the quicker they cook, because basically you're trying to crisp the outside and you want the inside mozzarella to melt. Now when you're frying anything, you don't want to overfill the pan, because by overfilling the pan you reduce the overall temperature. This is where food becomes science. But in a pan this size, I'd feel quite happy to put 4 or 5 risotto balls, and the fact I've actually got 9 means I'll do a batch of 4 and then a batch of 5. Now if you remember, these risotto balls have got mozzarella cheese in the middle, so if you weren't going to serve them immediately, which to be honest with fried food is always quite a good idea, you could fry them off, remove the excess oil on a bit of kitchen paper, and then you can just stick them in a moderate oven for about 5 or 10 minutes just before you serve them. And that way the middle will be lovely and melting, and they'll be cooked through beautifully. So what I'm going to have to do is, as you can see, or I hope you can see, the oil is only just coming up to about 1 centimetre at the base of the risotto ball. So that's the only bit that's going to go brown. So I just have to keep turning them and rolling them around until they're brown all over. And these really are delicious. I'll keep turning them until they're golden all over. And these breadcrumbs actually were just from a normal white loaf. There's nothing fancy about them, but they're really nice and crisp and light in texture, so I'm quite pleased with that. Right, I'm happy that they are nice deep golden colour. So what I'm going to do is take them out of the pan and put them onto a plate which has got some kitchen roll on, which is basically just to take off the excess oil. So 1, 2, 3, 4 out, put those down, and the next lot can go in. You cannot leave these unattended, going onto the phone, going onto the front door even. You've got to turn the oil off and take the pan off the hob. It's hot oil and it is dangerous. In fact, a lot of people are put off by frying food at all because it's so high in fat and so unhealthy. But to be honest, this is just the outside coating. You know, if you're going to eat shop bought crispy chicken or any products like that, they have been in a deep fat fry, don't kid yourself, even fish fingers. So the fact you're making it yourself, and you know that you've got some delicious vegetarian risotto in the middle, don't beat yourself up too much about the fact they're fried. So I'll keep turning these. The oil is a lovely temperature actually, because it's not burning at all. And yet I'm not standing here for ages. You know, it's only a few seconds and I keep rotating them. So I'm quite happy they're done. I'll just drain these last 5 on my kitchen roll, and then I'll put them on a plate and show you how beautiful they look to serve. A little tip, a little sprinkling of salt tends to keep fried food nice and crisp, but it doesn't stay hot for long. So as I say, you're either going to serve these immediately or you're going to heat them through in the oven just for about 5 or 10 minutes when your guests arrive. And if they're going to be appetizers, you could put them on a fancy plate like this one and literally serve them with a little paper towel, or again you could serve them with a salad as a main meal, a great lunch dish. But basically that's it. Really, really straightforward, delicious, and something to do with leftover risotto.